There is one word that quietly blocks wealth more than bad luck, more than lack of education, and more than the economy itself. It is spoken casually, repeated daily, and accepted as harmless. Yet the moment it leaves your mouth, it sets a law into motion that closes doors, delays opportunities, and keeps abundance at a distance. According to timeless spiritual principles, words are not sounds, they are commands. What you speak does not describe your life, it directs it. And if you continue speaking this one word, you may unknowingly be commanding poverty while praying for riches. Every word spoken carries weight far beyond sound. Speech is not a casual act, it is a form of instruction. Long before results appear in the physical world, they are first set in motion through language. When a word is spoken with feeling or repetition, it moves from sound into law. Life does not evaluate whether the words are hopeful or fearful, wise or careless. It simply responds. This is why words are not wishes. A wish hopes something might happen someday. A word spoken with certainty commands something to begin now. Most people unknowingly live under the authority of their own speech, directing their future without realizing it. From early childhood, language teaches the subconscious what is possible. Repeated phrases form mental agreements. These agreements become beliefs, and beliefs quietly shape financial outcomes. When someone speaks about money, success, or opportunity, they are not describing the world as it is. They are telling their mind and circumstances how to behave. Spoken words create patterns. These patterns attract matching experiences. This is why two people can live in the same environment, yet experience completely different levels of abundance. One speaks limitation, and the other speaks expectation. Life responds to both with equal accuracy. The power of words lies in their authority. Thoughts pass through the mind like clouds, but spoken words settle like commands. The subconscious treats spoken language as final. It assumes that what is said out loud is chosen truth. Once accepted as truth, it begins organizing behavior, perception, and opportunity around it. This is why careless statements about money often become self-fulfilling prophecies. Life is not resisting wealth, it is obeying instruction. This leads directly to the second principle, the danger of declaring limitation through language. The word that blocks wealth is not magical by itself, but powerful because of what it represents. Any word that confirms lack, struggle, delay, or impossibility becomes a contract with limitation. When someone says they cannot afford something, they are not stating a fact, they are issuing a verdict. That verdict tells the subconscious to stop searching for solutions and tells life to withhold new channels of supply. Limiting words shut doors before they are ever seen. Opportunity often appears disguised as ideas, impulses, or unexpected connections. But when the mind has already accepted limitation as truth, those ideas are dismissed. The person does not feel inspired to act. They do not notice the opening. They unconsciously protect the belief they spoke into existence. This is how language quietly maintains financial ceilings without effort or awareness. Many people believe they are being realistic when they speak words of lack. In truth, they are being obedient to past conditions. Reality is always changing, but words anchor it to yesterday. When limitation is spoken, it freezes possibility. Life hears acceptance, not resistance. It responds by maintaining the same conditions to remain in agreement with the spoken command. The most subtle danger of limiting language is how normal it feels. Phrases of lack are socially accepted, repeated in families, workplaces, and culture. Because everyone says them, they seem harmless. Yet repetition gives them power. Each time the word is spoken, the agreement strengthens. Over time, the belief becomes automatic, and the person no longer questions why abundance feels distant. They unknowingly trained life to stay away. Wealth consciousness does not deny challenges, but it refuses to declare them permanent. There is a difference between acknowledging a situation and announcing a conclusion. The moment a limiting word is spoken, the conclusion is drawn. The mind stops expecting expansion. Expectation is the doorway through which abundance enters. Without it, even the best opportunities pass unnoticed. This is why silence can be more powerful than negative speech. When someone cannot yet speak with faith, withholding limiting words preserves future change. The absence of a negative command leaves room for a new instruction to form. Over time, Replacing limiting language with neutral or expectant speech retrains the subconscious. Life begins to respond differently, not because circumstances changed first, but because authority changed. Words are seeds planted into invisible soil. Some seeds grow into confidence, ideas, and momentum. Others grow into hesitation, fear, and stagnation. The harvest always matches what was spoken. When limitation is removed from language, space is created for abundance to reorganize itself. This does not happen through force or effort, but through alignment. Life simply follows the new order that speech has set into motion. When a person argues with life through their words, life never loses the argument. Speech is not a debate with reality, it is an agreement with it. Every time someone says money is hard to get, opportunities always disappear, or wealth is not meant for people like me, life accepts those statements as final instructions. It does not push back. It does not offer alternatives. It simply organizes experiences to prove those words true. This is why arguing with life through negative declarations always results in loss. Life mirrors language with precision. Many people believe they are protecting themselves by lowering expectations. They think that if they speak cautiously, disappointment will hurt less. In truth, cautious language trains life to deliver cautious results. When someone repeatedly speaks struggle, they begin to expect struggle. Expectation shapes perception. The mind starts filtering reality, noticing evidence that supports the spoken belief while ignoring signs of improvement. Opportunities that require confidence are missed because the language used has already declared defeat. Life responds faithfully, but not generously, because generosity was never invited. Faith is not measured by silent hope, but by spoken conviction. What someone truly believes about wealth is revealed in everyday language, not in affirmations said once, but in habits of speech repeated daily. Faith does not need to shout. It speaks calmly, without apology, without justification. When someone speaks from faith, their words carry certainty rather than desperation. This certainty signals readiness. Life responds to this signal by aligning people, ideas, and timing in unexpected ways. Language rooted in faith does not ignore present conditions, but it refuses to give them authority. It speaks from a higher expectation. Instead of announcing what is missing, it acknowledges what is unfolding. This shift changes how the subconscious operates. Rather than preparing for lack, the mind prepares for receipt. It becomes more alert, more creative, more open to direction. The person begins to act differently, not out of force, but out of inner assurance. Those actions compound into tangible results. The subconscious mind is always listening, and it treats spoken words as commands from authority. It does not analyze or question them. When someone speaks about their financial future, the subconscious begins working to make those words consistent with reality. If the words express limitation, the mind finds ways to maintain that limitation. If the words express expectation, the mind looks for pathways to fulfill it. This process happens quietly and continuously. Repetition strengthens these commands. A single statement may pass unnoticed, but repeated language becomes programming. Over time, the subconscious no longer distinguishes between chosen belief and habitual speech. It assumes the repeated words represent truth. This is why changing financial outcomes requires changing language patterns. New results cannot emerge from old commands. The mind cannot build abundance on instructions designed for survival. As language shifts, inner resistance often appears. This resistance is not failure, but evidence that old agreements are being challenged. The subconscious resists change because it seeks consistency, not improvement. Persisting with new language gradually dissolves this resistance. Each new statement weakens the old command and strengthens a new expectation. Eventually, the subconscious accepts the new instruction as normal. When faith-based language becomes natural, life begins responding with ease. Opportunities appear without struggle. Solutions arise without panic. Money flows through channels that were previously invisible. This is not coincidence. It is the result of aligned authority. The person is no longer arguing with life or commanding lack. They are speaking from agreement with abundance, and life follows that agreement without hesitation. The way a person thinks about wealth is revealed most clearly in how they speak about it. Rich thinking is not loud optimism or forced positivity. It is a quiet refusal to surrender authority to appearances. When someone constantly verbalizes fear, shortage, or comparison, they train their awareness to search for proof of limitation. The mind becomes alert to obstacles instead of openings. Over time, this habit shapes identity. The person begins to see themselves as someone who struggles rather than someone who expects supply. This identity then influences decisions, risks, and self-trust, all of which directly affect financial outcomes. Prosperity consciousness operates differently. It does not deny challenges, but it does not announce them as permanent. Instead of speaking about what is missing, it speaks from the assumption that solutions already exist. This type of thinking overrides visible reality rather than submitting to it. Reality is always responding to consciousness, not the other way around. When language is rooted in expectation, the mind begins to cooperate with that expectation. Ideas emerge, timing improves, and confidence replaces hesitation. These internal shifts eventually express themselves in material form. Overriding reality does not mean pretending or ignoring facts. It means understanding that facts are temporary and responsive. A bank balance is a snapshot, not a verdict. When someone speaks as though a temporary condition is final, they lock themselves into it. When they speak as though improvement is inevitable, they leave the door open for change. The subconscious responds to the tone of certainty, not the current numbers. It organizes effort and attention in alignment with the dominant message it receives. Many people sabotage themselves by using desperate language when they want prosperity the most. Desperation sends a signal of lack and urgency. It communicates that supply is scarce and time is running out. Life responds to this signal by reinforcing tension and delay. Abundance does not flow toward panic, it flows toward calm assurance. When someone speaks as though they are already supported, already guided, and already provided for, they remove resistance from the process. Confidence in speech is not arrogance, it is alignment. Prosperity responds to confidence because confidence indicates readiness. When language is steady and assured, the mind remains open rather than reactive. It notices opportunities without forcing outcomes. It allows ideas to develop naturally. This state of inner stability is fertile ground for wealth because it invites flow instead of pressure. The difference between rich thinking and survival thinking is not effort, but orientation. Survival thinking asks, how will I manage? Rich thinking asks, what is unfolding for me now? One focuses on protection, the other on expansion. Language determines which mode the mind operates in. When speech is rooted in trust, the nervous system relaxes, creativity increases, decision-making improves. These internal shifts create external results that appear effortless to others. Replacing desperate language with confident expectation does not require perfection, it requires awareness. Each time someone chooses a word that implies trust instead of fear, they weaken old conditioning. Over time, this new pattern becomes natural. The person no longer needs to convince themselves of abundance. They expect it. And life, always obedient to expectation, reorganizes itself to match that inner command. There is a quiet strength in restraint that most people underestimate. When negative words are spoken, they do more than express frustration, they give direction. Each complaint hands authority to the very condition someone wants to escape. This is why silence can be more powerful than speech when faith is not yet steady. Silence does not argue with life. It does not reinforce limitation. It simply pauses the cycle of issuing harmful commands. In that pause, power is preserved instead of wasted. Many people feel the urge to explain their problems out loud, believing that speaking them makes them lighter. In truth, repeated negative speech makes them heavier. The mind hears the same story again and again and accepts it as reality. Silence interrupts this process. It creates space where new understanding can form. When a person stops repeating what they fear, the subconscious begins to loosen its grip on that fear. Silence becomes a form of discipline that protects future outcomes. Choosing silence over negative speech is not suppression. It is strategy. It is recognizing that not every thought deserves a voice. Thoughts pass, but spoken words settle. When someone feels tempted to declare lack or frustration, remaining silent prevents the formation of a new agreement with limitation. This restraint signals self-respect and awareness. It shifts the inner posture from reaction to authority. Over time, this practice builds inner confidence because the person realizes they are no longer a victim of emotional impulses. Silence also heightens awareness. Without constant verbalization, the mind becomes more observant. It notices patterns, opportunities, and inner guidance that were previously drowned out by noise. This awareness is essential for prosperity because wealth often arrives through subtle direction rather than dramatic events. Silence allows intuition to be heard. It keeps the inner environment clean and receptive instead of cluttered with complaints. When words are chosen carefully, they become intentional seeds. Every word planted into consciousness carries potential. Some seeds grow into confidence, opportunity, and flow. Others grow into doubt, delay, and struggle. Speech is the act of planting. Tone is the water. Repetition is the sunlight. The harvest is unavoidable. Life never fails to return what was sown. Many people unknowingly plant seeds of lack every day. They speak about money with irritation, fear, or resignation. These words may seem harmless, but seeds do not judge intention. They respond to consistency. When planted repeatedly, they take root. Over time, these roots shape behavior and expectation. The person begins to act in alignment with what they have spoken, reinforcing the harvest they did not consciously choose. Intentional speech changes this cycle. When words are spoken with clarity and expectation, they plant different seeds. These seeds may not sprout immediately, but they begin working beneath the surface. The subconscious starts aligning thoughts and actions with the new instruction. The environment responds subtly at first, then visibly. Opportunities appear that were previously overlooked. Confidence replaces hesitation. Momentum builds without force. The most powerful aspect of planting through words is patience. Seeds do not demand instant harvest. They trust the process. When someone speaks with expectation and then releases the outcome, they remove resistance. They stop digging up the seed to check if it is working. This trust allows growth to happen naturally. The absence of strain signals alignment, and alignment accelerates results. Every spoken word is either cultivating the future or repeating the past. Silence protects the soil when emotions are unstable. Conscious speech plants when intention is clear. Together they create mastery over outcomes. When negative speech is replaced by silence and intentional language, life begins responding differently. Not because effort increased, but because direction changed. Prosperity moves toward confidence because confidence signals alignment rather than need. When someone speaks from desperation, their words carry tension. That tension communicates urgency, fear, and a belief that supply is limited. Life responds to this vibration by tightening conditions rather than expanding them. Desperate language sounds like chasing, and abundance does not respond to pursuit. It responds to readiness. Readiness is calm, it is grounded, it assumes provision rather than pleading for it. Confidence in speech does not mean pretending everything is perfect, it means refusing to speak as though lack has authority. A confident tone tells the subconscious that support already exists. This allows the nervous system to relax. When the body is relaxed, the mind becomes clearer. Clear minds make better decisions. Better decisions create better outcomes. What appears as luck from the outside is often the result of this inner stability. Desperation narrows perception. When someone feels pressed, they focus only on immediate relief. This tunnel vision blocks creative solutions. Confident speech widens perception. It invites patience and perspective. The person becomes open to unconventional paths and unexpected timing. Opportunities that once felt invisible suddenly feel obvious. This shift happens not because the world changed, but because the inner posture changed. Life responds to confidence because confidence reflects trust. Trust removes resistance. Resistance slows flow. When language carries trust, actions follow naturally. The person takes steps without forcing results. They show up consistently rather than frantically. This consistency compounds. Over time, it builds credibility with themselves and with others. Money flows more easily toward those who are steady rather than strained. Replacing the limiting word is the turning point where wealth begins reorganizing itself. That word may have been spoken for years, reinforced by habit and culture. Removing it feels unfamiliar at first. The mind may resist. Old patterns may attempt to reassert themselves. This is not a sign of failure. It is evidence that a deep agreement is being rewritten. When the word of limitation is replaced with language of expectation, the subconscious receives a new instruction. It begins adjusting behavior automatically. The person may feel drawn to new ideas, new environments, or new conversations. These shifts feel subtle, but they are powerful. Wealth often enters through alignment rather than effort. Alignment begins with language. The external world responds after the internal world accepts the new command. This requires consistency. One confident statement does not undo years of limiting speech. Repetition builds authority. Over time, the new language becomes natural. The person no longer monitors their words carefully. They speak from a new identity. That identity expects abundance as normal rather than exceptional. As identity changes, relationships change. People respond differently. Opportunities arise more smoothly. Timing improves. None of this is forced. It feels organic because it is. Life is simply matching the new signal. Wealth reorganizes not through struggle, but through coherence. Everything begins aligning around the new instruction. Replacing the word also changes how setbacks are interpreted. Challenges no longer feel like proof of failure. They feel temporary. This emotional shift preserves momentum. The person continues speaking with expectation even when results are delayed. This steadiness is what ultimately produces breakthroughs. Life responds to persistence rooted in calm assurance. When confident language becomes the default, abundance feels less dramatic and more normal. There is less obsession and more flow. Money becomes a tool rather than a source of anxiety. The person trusts themselves to handle increase because they have already mastered alignment. This mastery began with something simple yet profound. A word removed, a new command spoken, and life responding exactly as it always does, by agreeing.